Hey everyone, Corey here, coming in to do the energy update for September 2024. It is so hard to believe that we have moved into September, or that we are moving into September. I'm recording this on August the 26th, so we do have those few days of August left, and the energy update that kind of flows into this one is the last one that I would have posted, and that one was posted on the 22nd, and it kind of sinks itself into the fall, and it really has a lot of the same energy that we're going to be seeing for a while. We have a lot of things that are being cleared up, or paths being cleared, like the way is being shown. And so there is a lot of change and direction coming in September. There is a lot of kind of taking a new path, walking new journeys, doing things that are unexpected or that you weren't expecting. You may find yourself having to go somewhere, show up for somebody that was unexpected. You may find yourself having to make a change that was unexpected, and things that you thought you were doing, the things that you planned that you're like, oh, well, this feels right, this is what I'm doing. You may find yourself, if you're in that position, you may find yourself having a little bit of surprise. Maybe you may not be going anywhere where you think you're going. Maybe it doesn't look anything like that. But one of the big things that is really showing itself, and it's showing itself in astrology, it's showing itself everywhere, and it comes in with this trine energy that is also showing up. And trines, when we have trines, if you want to really truly do some sense of being able to predict a good time in your year to do things, download your trines. Really get to see where the trines are for during the year for you in your natal chart. And you can get a whole list. You can order them on probably any of the astrology sites. I love Cafe Astrology. I love their site. I love working with it. I use it to get the wheel when I'm working with yearly energy updates for clients. And so your trines. And so we do have some big trine energy that is showing itself. And so where you were a few years ago, the journeys you started, the things that you had stepped into, the changes you were making, and you may finally see the rewards. You may finally be reaping the rewards of something all the way that happened all the way back to 2018, 2017, like around that period of time in your life of where you were transitioning through something, or something was happening. And sometimes life just doesn't go as planned. And so we can honestly say that I think September may very much be one of those months where things may not all go as planned. Things may really do a turnaround, and you may see some real turnarounds. It's kind of like it's not as planned, but it's also a comeback season that goes into the fall. But on the other side of it, holy crap, there's a lot happening. There's a lot happening. And it's not to be negative, because I never want to be perceived as negative. I'm reading energy. So I'm seeing energy, I'm seeing what is being given to me. And so it's simply just energy. It's what we do with energy. It's the alchemy of life. It's what we turn something into, what something becomes because of people's choices, because of things that we choose. Now, some things are totally out of our control, like the weather patterns. And some of the things that we have been calling lately have definitely been revealing itself, and in the extremes of weathers. So I just shuffled my cards, and the card that came up, because I wasn't planning on a card, but I was just kind of flipping them around, moving them around, and all of a sudden I ended up just flipping it over, and it is the card of She Is the Everyday Miracle. And so we're at endings. And so this is the last card of the deck. And so at the end of any situation or any story is also the new beginnings. And endings often have, they can be things that we celebrate, but it's also something is sacrificed. There's always a sense that something has paid the price, or or things have come at a cost. So if you're leaving an unhealthy relationship, let's just say, there's always the hurt person. There's always, or the hurt people. There's always hurts. There's always collateral damage. There's always the messiness that has to be cleaned up at the end. But in the same breath, and as challenging as it is, there's also a bit of the optimistic of what is next. There is a level of an excitement for starting over. And it doesn't always feel good. So it's hard to say excitement. That's not really the word, but that's the feeling they're giving me, that there is this sense of, the fighting is finally done. The arguments are over. I'm not walking on eggshells. So there's a happiness in that, even though it doesn't feel happy in the moment because it's stressful. So September is filled with a lot of those stressful experiences. And why the everyday miracle she is because it requires action. So where we were, the journey you've been on, it is about the action, and it's about what we have been doing. We have to take actions in order for miracles to unfold, right? You've got to move towards something or move away from something, leave something behind, whatever that may be. And so I am going to use a biblical story right here because that's what I'm getting. And I did just get tears in my eyes. So what inspired this card for me was Mother Mary. And I have been working with Mother Mary for a lot of years, channeling her through, listening to her conversations. And when Mother Mary first appeared to me, and before you click off because you're mad because I'm talking about something that you may be tying and linking to religion, please stay, please wait, recognize, observe what is happening in you in this moment that makes you so angry. My relationship with the holy realm is not that of any religion. It is that of spirit. And so Mary came to me years ago, and the first thing, I was in a Reiki healing session, and she appeared with just her hands, and only her hands. I could only see her hands, and I could see the sleeves of her cape. I could see of her, whatever, her outfit. And then I could see, prayer beads, and these prayer beads were wrapped around like they were beads of some sort, and they were hanging. And then with time, it was probably like a month down the road, I was in another session, and it was another deep healing, and I seen the full image of this beautiful woman, and dressed as the Mary I would have known. And she was Mary, and she told me she was Mary. And she had the most beautiful, beautiful skin and dark hair. And that's what she showed me. And she showed me that's who she was. That's what she was like. But that's not what I looked like in my passing. That's what I was like before the ending that changed my perspective, that took away that sense of of light. And so it was when her heart became so broken. And so I was then moved forward to 2014, I think it was, and I was in Sedona, Arizona, in just a random spot, looking over across the street from where the big church is built into the rocks and the big cross. And I had tried to go there earlier that day, turned into a real issue. I didn't make it. And so I was across the street in just a suburbia area, an empty lot, and just sitting there and waiting. And I just was walking around, and I noticed this little statue sticking out of the ground. And this little statue sticking out the ground was in like a built up pile of rocks. And I'm like, oh, that looks like a little grave. But trees had fallen, little branches had fallen over the top of it. And I went to reach in because I was going to pick up this little white statue. And I heard, don't touch me, Corrie. Don't touch me. Don't take me out. And come around. So I walked around to the other side, and when I looked in, it was Mary. It was Mother Mary. Now, I had been praying and asking for a sign since I had arrived in Sedona about 3-4 days prior. And I'm like, I'm not seeing nothing. I'm not feeling nothing. I've gone through the vortexes. I walked up by that church. I went on a hike. I've been to all kinds of places. Why? I felt the call to come here. Why is there nothing? And it was when I gave up searching, and I was just roaming around, and here was this little statue. And Mary began to speak to me. And Mary told me a lot of things. And I sat and I listened, and I left her right where she was. I didn't take what didn't belong to me. It wasn't mine to take. There was something there. Somebody else had left their hurt, had left something they loved, an animal, a pet was buried there. And so they left a piece of their heart there. It wasn't for me to pick that up. It wasn't for me to take it to try to make my heart feel better. It was for me to leave and to go and allow myself to walk that journey, to feel that journey. But one of the things she had told me was that when at an ending, the pain of the ending, and it was that she had to bear witness to the crucifixion of her son. And the crucifixion of her son was where everything about who she was could never be the same. There was no going back. And she could not stop the ending. She could not change what was happening. She could not change anything of what was taking place. And that she would still have to walk a journey after. So this continued for a long time. I walked the journey to the cave, to beyond the cave, but that's for another time. But this card was inspired. And what was inspired for me was, at the heart was love. At the heart was love. That because of her love for her son, she would have to step back up, even though she would want to die, even though the pain was so unbearable. She would have to go because of love, and that she would have to find her way to opening her heart. And so she taught me about opening my heart back up to myself after something in my life, in several occasions in my life, of where I felt that I needed to sacrifice, that I needed to crucify myself, that I needed to be so angry at myself, to hate on myself, and learning to open my heart back up and not to close down. And that it would require opening up my heart. And in opening up my heart, my eyes opened wider. My third eye opened wider. Everything became clearer. And I no longer feared the endings. I no longer feared I no longer existed in all of the fear stories. Something changed. And Mary is playing a big role in whatever is unfolding in September. And whatever we are seeing coming up in the end of 2024, going into 2025, requires us to truly not lose faith and believe in miracles, that miracles can happen, that we can see miracles, miracles can unfold. But in the meantime, we do have a lot of challenging energy that truly forces us to be able to see what we're unwilling to see, to make the changes we need to make, to allow endings to happen so that we can break out. So a massive rebirth energy. And so being reborn again, being, coming through this challenging energy and this challenging time is exhausting. And I'm feeling it on an exhausting level. And I feel myself, really trying to stay, like, it's almost like I got a bobblehead, push the button, and it's like my head feels too heavy. Because I do feel I never not lose that little whisper back there that is giving the doubt stories. And that is tied around sensors, right? Being censored, and our own meeting at this junction, at the junction point between logic and inspiration and creativity, is that we are meeting logic and creativity. We're meeting that sense of the intuition, the intuitive parts of ourselves, to just know, to just do, to step into just doing things because we just have that feeling. We just have that knowing, I just got to. Whatever that is, there is something is moving us. So what moved Mary when she didn't feel she could get back up? The power of spirit, the power of something greater than her. And so what moves us? What's here to move us? And that is the spirit, something that is more, that is bigger than us, that it is so much bigger than us. And there's so many things that are bigger than us. And so even the challenges, the struggles, sometimes they're bigger than you. Sometimes they're things that no matter how much you try to solve and resolve them, you can't. Sometimes you just have to get out of the way. And so a big message that I had from Mary and Sedona was get out of the way. Get out of the way. Don't try to make things happen. Don't try to force things. Make space. Walk with it. Allow things to happen. Allow things to come. So we have a heaviness that is coming in as well for September. And it's a density. And so it feels really dense, but it's also, it's weird. It's really odd because I have a lot of sunshine. I have a lot of sun shining in, which is showing me the essence of the divine, that there is the essence of a greater consciousness that is coming in. So there is a lot of power. There's a lot of light, but there's just so many things over here. It's like pulling the weeds from the garden. There's just so many little things that need to be let go. So are we looking at an absolutely fantastic September? No, but can fantastic things happen in September? Yes, yes, they can. And of course, remember, because I'm reading the energy doesn't mean the energy is happening to everyone. It depends on your sign, all of your signs that are in your chart. It depends on the planets and which one is tied to your sun, where they are in the houses. It is so many things that link and tie back into understanding how energy works and who is influenced most by the energy. And so there is, like I said, it is collective, but everybody is having a different experience. Even if you're in the same room with the same people, you are receiving everything differently. You're all having a different experience. Two people listening to these channeled messages, one may be totally in awe, and the other one may be criticizing, critical, judging. That's a reflection back on them. That's a reflection back on you. That being interested, being at peace, being okay with not everything aligns, or that you don't agree with everything, whatever that may be, but your feet are on the ground. So Virgo season is what we're in September. There is a very much grounded, practical, logical energy that goes with this Virgo September season. It just is. We get shit done. This is where that sense of our creative side is over the going, can we go play? Can we go play? Is it time to go play? I want to go play. And then that practical side is like, get things done. We need to get things done. So when I talk about the sensor between that logical and creative, I don't mean that we shut off our logical brain at all. Is that we also remind ourselves that we're not here to become obsessed. We're not here to allow the obsession of chasing something and recognizing that we are obsessively chasing something, that we stop and realize those things. We start to become aware of the power of suggestion and that power that we have within ourselves. So these times And these struggles and these challenges that are exposing themselves gives us an opportunity to open up our hearts, and especially to have compassion for ourselves. We're not going to get everything all right. We're not going to do everything right. We're going to have mishaps. We're going to have fallbacks. We're going to have challenges. And whatever those have been, you may have been going through these for the last 6 years, 5 years, 7 years, 8 years. And then, while you're here and you're in this peak of energy of finally reaping the rewards, looking back and going, oh, but look at what this cost me. Now I've aged 6, 7 more years, is to really look back with love and compassion, and have compassion for the version of you that's right here, right now. Now I'm seeing honeycombs and honeys, and so honeybees. Very interesting. Sweetness, nectar. I'm asking them. Nope. Preparation. On a world scale or on a bigger scale, there is a sense of we are preparing for something. There is and I don't get caught up in the world news and stuff, because that's all, it just keeps so much angst, anxiety, fear going. Being called up. And I called this in the energy update for the 22nd as well, being pulled out of the building blocks. Now, a big thing that I think that was for that reading for the 22nd was on the weekend. Robert Kennedy Jr. had switched from Democrat, had dropped out the race for presidency out and left the Democratic Party to go to the Republican. I'm not American, but that's where the building blocks of that would fall, because he's pulled up and out. Now, that's not the only thing, because I still see that same energy coming all the way into September. So I got endings. I have endings, and I keep seeing endings. Why do we continue to pay the price? Is what I'm getting. So stop holding yourself hostage to the past. Stop punishing yourself for past choices and decisions. Recognizing the pathway that's always wide open to keep going back to the past. There's a lot of love, but I also see some darkness there. And darkness doesn't mean bad. It just means the shadowy aspects. We're going to see the shadow in people really, truly make the comeback, but we're also going to see the light, which shows me that, if you've been healing, growing, evolving, you may notice that people now begin to fall away. Some people hit a wall and a max, and they've got what they need for this lifetime, and they're not meant to really, they're just meant to be their human little self. And there's no judgment to this awakening story. There's not, it doesn't really make a difference to people as a general rule, but it's however we can word it how we like. But outgrow is another term they use. Outgrow. People piss me off. So we kind of, fall out of love, fall out of relationships, fall away from people who we're once in contact with. So people who are kind of burdened down with a lot, really heavy, not really doing what they need to do for themselves. I feel like if you have somebody like that in your life, And you may find yourself that you can still have compassion for them, but you don't continue to allow that energy vampire, the vampire energy, to take such a hold that it's like you don't create that space. So we got light and dark. And she's not dark. This is Shyama. She's not a dark card, but they are showing me the light and the dark. And so she is the light in the dark space. But we have the sense of shadowy energy. And I keep hearing unprecedented. There's something very unprecedented that is happening that we're going to see unfold, or could not, that we could see unfold, that September can be an unprecedented month of transition, change, surprise, unexpectedness, and revelations. There's a lot of revelation, and I keep seeing the darkness. So I don't know if we have something that is blocking the sun, because I see a lot of sun, but then I see that phase of darkness. So I'm a little bit uncertain of what this is, but I'm seeing like a lot of sun, but just this bleep of darkness. And it doesn't last overly long, but it lasts. It's coming in, it's coming through. And so you may find yourself being provoked. Be careful of being provoked. Be careful of turning friends to enemies. Be aware, not careful. Be aware of the energy that can cause this. Be aware of that kind of energy. Be aware of your ego, thinking that maybe you're better than everyone else, thinking that everyone else got a problem and you don't have a problem. The ego is taking center stage. Now, the healthy side of ego is our motivation. It's what gives us our drive. It is what we connect to, our healthy sense of desire. And that's where we manifest from. The unhealthy part of ego is where we return to the victim consciousness. It's where we get lost in it. And so both are here, and you are at the crossroads of those choices. And if you choose to rehash, to re-victimize, to re-traumatize yourself, if you choose to step into that victim consciousness and see it as everything that's going wrong, instead of seeing everything is still moving us towards maybe something good, is over here, this sense of, this can be a very motivational time. It can be a time to really step into doing the things that you want to do. Taking that sense of either a leadership role or a support role. One is not greater than the other. Remember that. Leadership or support, one is not greater, because the support is also the leader. The support is that sense of being able to consult with the leader who hasn't got the time to look at everything, but it's strong, it's powerful, and there's such a powerful energy and influence in that sense of really revisiting the essence of the word enlightenment, what you think you're chasing, and why you think it's so important. That sense of enlightenment, the big story of enlightenment, is nothing what we think it is. It's the same thing as, I got to be in charge. I got to be the leader. I got to do this. I got to do that. Well, why do you have to do that? What is the what behind it? And, for those who are the first to cast stones, it's always going to hit the one in front. Right. And so what we take on, what that looks like for us. So there's a lot of conversations that are coming from the egoic self, but there's also a lot of conversations coming from the higher self. How we commute to that, how we connect to that, is going to matter in September. I do see a big ending. I see a change in power, There's a change in power somehow unfolding also for September. There's a lot of things that have not broken through the egg, like it's like an egg, it's like a shell of where all this energy is being contained and held type. And it's just like, it hasn't given birth to itself yet. It hasn't flipped itself out so it can be seen. So there is a lot of the unseen, and the power of the unseen is about patience. It is about trust. It's about trusting the things that we can't see. I just looked down and thought, oh, that sounds like a little bit of my teachings. And so we do have the power of the unseen and trusting the unknown and moving forth in the unknown. Is this may be crazy, but I really feel like I need to do this. And you may find yourself really, truly honoring that this month, really, truly embodying that this month and taking that on. It's exhausting though. This is going to be a very tiring month. I can barely keep my eyes open. It's a month where you just, it's like, slow it down, take it easy, don't overdo it, don't rush it. And if you've been waiting for everything to get crazy busy, I don't feel September is it. I feel like September has a bit of a lull energy to it. But it is heading itself. It's because every new beginning is a little slower. The startup is always a little bit slower. It takes time to get warmed up. It takes time for change, and that'll lead us into October. So we have that sense of kind of like that mad rush to the end to get here. And then we have the new beginnings. And so we have something that is beginning. We have a lot of new beginnings, but it's going to be a bit of a slow start. So whatever you're starting, what if it's your new projects or if it's the beginning of something in a season for you, it's going to be a little bit of a slow start in the season. Kind of soak up the sun of it. But by mid-September, you're going to see it picking up and it's going to really take off, and really things are going to happen really quickly. It feels like that second back end of September, things are going to be moving very quickly. It's like, it's kind of like go now, get done. Major challenges, but major shifts, but also a major sense of let's go now. So there comes in this rush of energy. And it's not that you got to run with the energy, is you got to get into the flow of the rush of the energy and not let yourself feel rushed, not let yourself feel panicked, not allowing yourself to feel like you're being left out, but to get in the flow of the rush of the energy and not rush yourself. There's a big difference. Let the universe move you, let you be moved by the power of the divine and the power of the universe. But I do see miracles unfolding. I see big things of that are going terribly sideways, and divine intervention. And I just feel like somehow there is some divine intervention. And some of you are on big moves and big changes, and we're going to see a lot more of that through September, October, November. I send you so much love. Have a beautiful month, and I will speak with you soon. Bye-bye.